Welcome to Screen Bytes, a podcast about gaming, technology, TV and movies. We're watching the Fallout TV series, episode by episode. Each episode will have spoilers for its relevant episode number. There will be no spoilers for later episodes.
Anyway, so Fallout TV series, episode 5.
Episode 6, we recorded 5 last time. You did watch 6, yeah?
Episode 6, sorry. Yeah. Which we discussed about them proceeding in the vault. We discussed that we're not going to have an episode with the people in Vault 31, and we're just going to have an episode. So that was correct. So we're going to have an episode where we see Maximus and Lucy inside Vault. Which vault was it? Was it Vault
This is Vault 4. So this is actually the same vault that the pre-war Howard was doing all the promos for in those flashbacks.
Ah, yes.
So this is the same vault.
And it was quite interesting because Lucy is saying to Maximus, it's okay, you don't need to be scared, you're inside a vault now. And he's the one kind of freaking out at first, but then when they do introductions with the overseer, the overseer has an eye in the middle, and she's like,
yep.
Wait a minute, that's not normal. I've never had everyone who's been in the vault has just been a normal human. And then they have further conversations in terms of how long have you been in the vault? And it seems like the overseer was saying that his family was the original people who entered the vault, but that doesn't make any sense. How could that happen?
No. I think what he means is he is originally from the vault, whereas a lot of people aren't from the vault. They're from the surface. His family line is all within the vault. So his parents, his grandparents, his great-grandparents. He's not saying his family were the first family in there and they've been alive for 200 years, unless that's one of the experiments. But no, the way I read it is that his family entered the vault 200 years ago, had kids, then had more kids, then had more kids, and then had him. That makes a bit more sense, does it not?
That's what I meant, but it doesn't make sense how he's got an eye in the middle of his head. How does that happen then?
Well, do you remember in the previous episode, as they entered it, it's a medical research hospital.
Yes.
So they're doing medical research, and we know that Vault Tech are doing experiments. Each Vault has a different experiment to do, and this Vault's experiment was obviously mutations and medical innovations like that.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense, because I was just a bit confused, to be honest. I honestly thought, how can he be his family be in this Vault for generations and have an eye in the middle? But if it's some sort of experiments with radiation or the effects of radiation,
I think the single eye might be a forced experiment as opposed to radiated mutation from just being outside. The question is did he get this mutation? Was he born with the mutation on purpose? Did he accidentally get the mutation, or was he born with 2 eyes and then they injected him with a mutant something and then that came out on him with a single eye, whereas another person, they gained a nose or something? Are they born with the mutations? Is it something that they do to the fetus, or is it something that they do after they're born as experiments later on in life?
But Lucy did mention to Maximus about the one eye being in the middle, and he said that's quite normal, in fact.
Yeah, it's quite normal. Lots of people only have one eye.
I don't know if it was experiments. Who knows?
No. So basically, it was. So she was saying, "Don't you think it's weird that he has only one eye?" And Maximus is like, "No, loads of people only have one eye. In the sense that some people lose an eye, but they still have. If they have one eye, it's still where one of 2 sockets. You've got 2 eyes. If you lost an eye and you've only got one eye, you still got the other, the place. Whereas what she meant is that he's only got one eye, as in he's got one central eye in the middle, as opposed to is just missing an eye. But he didn't seem to. I guess he doesn't know enough about humans and the world. He's not educated like she is. He's just Yeah, he's got one eye. That's lots of people only have one eye. That's nothing weird about that at all.
One thing we should really talk about that happened prior to all of this meeting the overseer is that they were actually quarantined for some time. And yeah, strangely, she just comes out and says, you know, do you want to get it on?
Yeah, well, because she's very matter of fact about these things. You know, she's not ashamed of it. But he, on the other hand, like he's just like, isn't that like really bad? Not in a Americans don't like sex kind of way, but in a he's been taught. It's like he's been drummed out of him all sort of sexual desire. And I guess that's probably what you want out if you're like making lots of soldiers to fight for you. You don't want there to be any like distractions. So he's got no distractions, no romantic distractions, and it's just it's funny the way he talks about it. It gets hard and it hurts and it explodes. But in the very first episode, or the second episode, whenever we see him for the first time, there is one of the shots where it's, you know when the guy gets his foot slashed? It's that scene, I think. I think it starts and there's a guy, he's just beating off underneath his bed, you know, underneath his blanket, you know, in a room with a whole load of other guys. But that's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, I've not been in the armed forces or anything, but that doesn't seem that abnormal for someone in an army or in that situation. That's kind of just something that happens, I guess. But anyway, he turns her down. She's like, oh, okay, no problem. Like, she's not offended by it. She's not after any like romantic. Yeah, it's nothing romantic. She's just like, yeah, like, do you want to have sex? Like, you know, we're in here alone. The thing is, there's people can be watching them. There's windows and maybe cameras or anything, but like, she's not bothered by that. She's very matter of fact and almost medical about it.
Yeah, kind of takes the sting out of it, really, doesn't it?
Of course it does. But you know, that's just the way she is. That's the way they are. They are incompatible in completely weird ways. I think when they do have sex in one of the later episodes, that's going to make it very different, I guess.
Yeah. So the overseer mentioned about staying away from floor 12, and it was like, you must stay away from floor 12. And she's like, what's in floor 12? Oh no, you can't ask about that. How? Get out, off you go. Hey, get out. It's just like, what? The guy doesn't want to talk about it. So it's like so obvious. It's like,
yeah, he's very friendly. He's quite funny until she mentions floor 12.
It was a bit like you ever seen Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone?
Do you know something? I've not seen a single Harry Potter film.
It's a bit like that. You must stay away from the 8th floor as there's great doom. You must stay away from there. And it's like, obviously they're going to go and find out what's going to happen because you told me not to do it. So now I have to go and do it and find out.
Yeah, but this is one of those things. Like, if they hadn't said floor 12 was out of bounds, sorry, my word's not working. If they had not said that floor 12 was out of bounds, they wouldn't have known that floor 12 was out of bounds, nor would they have ever tried to go there because there was no need for them to go to floor 12. They're like, okay, I'm sleeping in this room, food's in this room, medical's in this room. We'll just go between these floors. Why would we ever go to floor 12? It's almost like he was saying, don't go to floor 12 because they want them to go to floor 12. Once they go to floor 12, they can kind of arrest them and then start doing experimentation on these people or something.
Yeah.
This vault is more ominous than it appears on the surface, even when you already know it's a medical research vault. Because that character, the first character that they meet in the vault, she's not actually a vault dweller. She is a surface dweller who's come into the vault. And the first time they speak to her, she's all very friendly. But the second time, the third time, each time they speak to her, she just gets a little bit more, I don't want to say clingy, but there's a certain sense throughout this episode that they're not going to be allowed to leave this vault. They're going to have to escape.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It feels like once you end, like there's no leaving this vault. You can only enter it. And especially when you consider how they join the vault, like they don't walk through a door, they get abducted for all intents and purposes. So I feel like getting out of this is going to be tricky.
But on the other hand, Maximus is enjoying his time there because he's never experienced hot war.
So Maximus is starting to get the idea of what civilization could be. So like you say, hot water, electricity, TV, fluffy shoes, champagne, caviar, like he's dressing gown, he's really enjoying himself. Like I said, hot shower, just he is won over by this area.
Well, I was going to say, he was saying at first, we need to get out of it. We got to get out of it. We got to get out of it. And then then halfway through the episode, it's like Lucy's like, stuff is starting to get a bit strange. It's starting to get a bit strange in here. We should start like trying to think about getting out of it. He's like, whoa, what's the rush, And he's enjoying himself. He's just completely out of it in terms of like, he's forgotten his mission. He's like, but you would in a way, because like, he wouldn't.
Well, I think he's had a bottle of champagne. I think he's pissed. I think he's drunk.
Okay. But still, even if you're in that position, like, you said to the Brotherhood of Steel that this squire has passed away and needed to be replaced.
Yeah.
So in their eyes, he's dead. So he could have just relaxed in that and just go along with it.
Until Thaddeus actually gets back and tells him what's happened. So he kind of, staying within the vault might be the safest place for him to be, because, they'll never find him inside the vault.
Unless they have, like, some sort of spy that manages to get in there, or someone that knows...
Yeah, but why would they have a spy going into a random vault?
I don't know. There you go. Who knows?
There's loads of vaults. Like, why would they send someone into that vault specifically? Unless there's communications with like the overseer or something like that. But I suspect they will be. They'll be leaving next episode. That's what my guess will be. But
Lucy does get suspicious and does go to the 12th floor, where she finds some sort of experiments happening, like you say, on the 12th floor with like sea creatures eating a woman.
Yes.
Was it?
Those are. Well, do you remember the creature in the previous episode?
What, the one?
The one that, the gulper.
Oh, yeah.
The one with the fingers. That's what that lady gives birth to. So this is where that creature has come from. And that kind of makes sense now. So a woman has given birth to a fish, but this fish kind of has some human parts to it. So this is part of the mutations that they're trying to make. I don't know if they're trying to, but they've certainly made this weird human fish concoction that has also managed to escape or been released.
Well, that's the thing. I was watching it and I saw the fish and I was thinking, wait a minute, that just come out of her. And then I was like, no, nah, that didn't come out of her. And then it started eating her. And then it started eating her.
Underwater birth, because they're fish. This is the evil that Vault Tech is. I've just, in Fallout 4, I've just gone into Vault 81. And if you've done this, it's the one where the vault is split into two, and there's scientists on one side and the civilians on the other, and the civilians have no idea that they're scientists. And what they were supposed to do was create diseases and infect the humans with the diseases, and then they could create the antidotes and then try out the antidote, see if that cures them afterwards. And this is just one of those things. It's like Vault-Tec are a horrible, completely unethical, immoral, all of those bad words. They are not a good company, despite the bright blue and yellow, the Vault Boy thumbs up. Like, they look friendly, but they most certainly are not. And then the one thing I was thinking, and I remember thinking in going back to Maximus in his little apartment, and he had his little welcome package of champagne and caviar. I did think to myself, where did they get caviar from? And I think we've just learned that potentially the Gulpers produce some kind of caviar. Do you know what caviar is?
I don't think so. What is it?
So caviar is a really weird, rich person food. So champagne and caviar it's a common thing to have together. And caviar is made from, I want to say, octopus or something like that. It's some kind of fish that lays eggs. It's just egg spawn or something of a sea creature. And I guess it's really hard to get. It's probably hard to farm, and it's probably even harder to get wild caviar. So it's not something you would expect to see in a vault, especially 200 and something years after the war. So I'm guessing they've used caviar as one of the ways that they are potentially harboring infusing the embryos that they then put into a pregnant lady or into a lady to kind of them all very strange. And then to kick it all off, to top it all off, they're feeding the caviar to their new visitors. It's incredibly strange.
Yeah.
So another thing that Maximus does before we leave the vault is he is trying to get power to his power armor suit.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that's when he was still a bit...
He talks to the maintenance worker, and he was like, hey, dude, where does the power come from for this whole thing? So they tell him about the arc room or something like that, which I find incredibly trustworthy. Like, he's just telling some randomer about where one of your most important pieces of equipment is. And then he goes off down there, and lo and behold, there's a fusion core just sat waiting to be removed. And then just as he's grabbed hold of it, and I think he's just like slightly pulled it out, Birdie, the vault dweller from before, she comes in and she's like, "Oh, I see you found yourself a fusion core." And I don't think we see any more of him.
Well, and also they mentioned that they managed to retrieve his suit as well, didn't they?
Yeah, the suit's in there. He's standing outside his suit, looking all smug, apart from the fact that it's got no power.
So I bet he's going to somehow try and steal that power cell, use his suit to get out.
Well, he has just tried to steal it, but he's just been caught stealing it.
They're going to have to try again, isn't he? Somehow. I don't know.
Well, that's if she doesn't call security or arrest him. I don't know. They didn't really. I think he said something like, "Oh, just let me have it" or something, and then we kind of left him. I don't know how he's going to get out of the situation that we left him in.
But Lucy gets in a really bad situation where she goes to floor 12 and she gets caught. And then it gets pretty strange after that, where they seem to be doing some sort of sacrifice. So they're all in the main hall of the vault, and they are wearing weird clothes, and they've got some sort of...
So these are the people who came into the vault from the surface. So this is their ritual. And the thing to know about these people are from the town up on the surface, the shady sands, I think. And they came in after it was bombed. So they're doing something to remember their dead.
They get the ashes and they pour it onto themselves, off the dead.
Yep, and they're drinking the blood. I don't know whose blood, it's quite fresh blood actually. But yeah, they're wiping the ashes on their face and drinking some kind of blood and chanting around a candlelit central figure, and then everyone takes their tops off and we get some boobage.
Yeah, that was strange as well.
Lucy is joining in at this point. She's up for anything at this point. She's joining in. She stops short at going topless. She's like, okay, no, this is a bit too much for her. And then once they start drink, she's put the ash on her face, and then they say what the ash is. And she's like, oh, right, okay. And she's like, no, I'm not drinking the blood. This is too much for me. And at this point, I think it would be good to go talk about Howard and the ghoul.
Sure.
So where do we see Howard? We start with him as pre-war. So he is shooting the promo video for the same vault that we've spent the rest of the time with Lucy and Maximus in. So this is I would have thought they might have used a sound stage or a set for that, but clearly they just used one of the vaults that they were building anyway. And he's filming on a street called Sycamore Street, and that is actually the street where Maximus, that's where his apartment is. He's on Sycamore Street. Howard then goes into one of the other apartments and meets one of the quote-unquote family of scientists who are doing a 5-year experiment inside the vault to see what it's like or whatever. The guy is obviously, the father in the family is obviously very nervous. He's probably not an actor. He might genuinely be a scientist, the scientist or something. So he's a bit nervous with his sort of lines to the camera, but he does what he needs to do, says what he needs to do, and everything seems to be okay. We then learn that Howard he's not enamored. He's probably enjoying the money for doing these Vault Tech things. He's obviously been, I wouldn't say strong-armed, but his wife has obviously convinced him to do these for Vault Tech. Probably him doing the Vault Tech has probably earned them a slightly better vault than any employee would have gotten, so that might be part of it. But he's not in love with the Vault Tech. He just wants to get out of there. He's done his bit. He just wants to go home, just wants to relax. turns out the rap party happening at their house, so he cannot escape.
That's happened before to me. I'm like, oh, you're like, when you don't know that something's going on, and you find out like, okay, but yeah, that's life. That happens sometimes.
So he does manage to invite a couple of his mates there, so it's not the worst ordeal for him. But we see him getting ready for the evening. We see he has a dog. So he's very, he is a dog person. He's very friendly to a dog, despite what we see in previous episodes. And one of his big films, as he's walking down the stairs, is him with his dog. I think it's the same dog was the lead character with him. So he can be a good person. He was a good person once upon a time, just maybe a little bit grumpy. Just a little bit grumpy back then, more than he's now.
Well, before he gets to the party, he does meet like the director of Vault-Tec, the person who's putting it all together. And
oh yes, in the hallway of where they were setting up, doing the filming, he meets the guy who made the T-45 power armor suit, and
he was having a go at him.
He was having a go at them because he said the T-45s, many people died in them because Howard himself, when he was in the war, it sounds like he wore a T-45 power armor suit. It seems to be that there was some kind of issue with them and a lot of people died in them, potentially unnecessarily. Great as the power armor sets were for the army, it wasn't so great for the individual.
Yeah, he did the suits, but now I swear he was saying that he was doing part of Vault-Tec as well. Now, where he did do he basically did projects with the suits, but now he's involved with the Vault-Tec in some way.
Maybe. I'm pretty sure he introduced himself as the company that makes the suits. I can't remember what the company is called.
I think it's just the same company.
No, they did say something. It's West-Tec. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be why you thought it was Vault-Tec. It's West-Tec.
Oh, okay. West-Tec.
Yeah. So he is from West-Tec. And it might be because Vault-Tec did work with different companies. So like the Pip-Boy wasn't made by them. I think that's what they said.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so that's why he did. He made the Pip-Boy. That the company West-Tec made because then they said everyone who enters the vault will get a Pip-Boy.
So we go to the party. He's got such a nice house. I mean, I know we've already seen it, but yep, they are living the dream. Lots of people, servants, everything. It is really interesting seeing the pre-war world, because what we see in Fallout 4 is nothing like what we're seeing here. And obviously there would have been like super rich people, like celebrities and corporation CEO people. But
I kind of got what I wanted in my preview show.
Yeah, but to be honest, this is something we needed, I think, to see.
And we got the guy from the IT crowd,
because there's not been that much. Everything we see pre-war in the game so far is just like terminal entries and holotape recordings. There's no real. Yeah, it's actually good to see stories that are pre the bombs dropping.
Yeah, it kind of feels like if you ever seen like the Terminator films, they kind of like trying to establish how the bombs went off and the AI took over. But in this, yeah, it seems basically the guy who lent his voice to the robots for money is saying that he's telling Howard that, well, he's telling two things really, like do the stuff that you got to do for the money, and something's going to happen soon in terms of something bad's going to happen, and it's going to evolve. So
what we do is we meet Matt Berry's character in person. So the person whose voice is the Mr. Handy, we meet him in real life after he's done his recordings. He is a friend of Howard, and they're just talking, and they're just saying about how they know the bombs are going to fall inevitably. Like, it's just, they don't know when it's going to happen, but they know it's going to happen. It's just a fact at this point, pretty much. So what he's saying is, he's just reaffirming to Howard that the work he's doing to earn his place in a vault, it's fine. Like, he's working hard to pay for it, or, he's working hard to get his name out there so his name can buy him a space, and that's okay for him to do. I don't know if he is getting one himself. I mean, he only got paid like $100,000 for doing the voice when Howard said like 10 million or something, and you can see the look on his face of like, 100,000, mate. I'd have loved to have $10 million dues, but
the thing is, Howard is a bit cautious of Vault-Tec because he's worried about roles.
He is a little bit, but it doesn't really come in. I don't think he's cautious as much as he is tired or just like slightly frustrated by how much time they take away from his wife potentially. However, he then meets so he is the cowboy. In all the films he does, he is the stereotypical cowboy. Now he has a co-star who is the stereotypical Indian, and they seem to be in a lot of films together, opposite each other. They meet in a bar, and his friend starts to tell him about how bad Vault-Tec is. And Howard's like, oh no, they can't be that bad. They're making vaults for everyone. Or, he's like, whatever.
My wife works for him.
Defending them. Well, yes, he's not defending Vault-Tec, but he's slightly receptive to things like, oh yeah, Vault-Tec aren't as good as you think they are. So he's been invited to this secret meeting. And I'm not sure he really decided he was going to go immediately, but something happened later on. I think he had a bit of not an argument, but he and his wife, she was saying about how she's doing everything she can to get them into one of the good vaults. And he's like, what do you mean, the good vault? Aren't they all good? So it seems like she knows that Vault-Tec have got weird stuff going on in some of their vaults. And she's trying to get them into the management vault, which is probably the one vault that's got no experiments. Vault-Tec being Vault-Tec, even that vault probably has an experiment going on. But whether we'll ever know that or not, I'm not sure. I don't know if that vault if they ever get to that vault.
Well, he doesn't.
He might get that answer. Well, obviously he doesn't. But I wonder, in the rest of the Fallout universe, I don't know if the Master Vault, the one that looks at the data from all the other vaults, I don't know if that is known as to whether it gets populated by Vault-Tec scientists or not, or the management, the CEOs, whatever. I don't really know the answer to that. Maybe we'll see that in the TV show because, in the next 2 episodes, we're going to find out, why didn't Howard make it into the vault? Did his wife make it into the vault? What happened to his daughter? Yeah, so the one thing we do know is that his daughter is not Moldava, because Moldava is the host of this conspiracy group that are meeting that Howard has been invited to go see. Now, we haven't spoken about what's happened to the ghoul yet. So the ghoul has been found in the Super Duper Mart. He's just coming to, waking up from his drug-fueled sleep from the last few days. So I've just finished editing episode 3 or 4, I forget now, and we do learn that actually Lucy and the ghoul do not travel together anymore. Lucy's gone on, left him to do whatever he likes. He gets arrested by some people and taken to a sheriff or a president, I think he calls himself, of that area. And what it seems to be is that the place that he's been accused of closing down that place. And it seems to be that was set up, these people or Moldava, like you said, it wasn't those 2 stoners that set that place up. It was set up by a bigger power, and they were just there to look after it. And yeah, I think they hinted that it might have been part of Moldava's big empire or something, money-making schemes or something like that.
Yeah, and they were looking after it in terms of protecting it.
Exactly, yes, in his jurisdiction. But this president and the ghoul, they know each other. They've got history going back. So he sits down at the table and they talk. He has his rope banded, his rope handcuffs removed. And he takes Lucy's finger and he starts sewing it back on. And I'll be honest, it's one of those conversations you could see exactly where this was going, because he's reattaching his trigger finger whilst talking to someone who, yes, he has history with, but the other 2 buffoons in the room, they're a bit too trigger happy. They can be triggered just by him talking to them a bit negatively. I think one of them gets upset because the ghoul said, if your dad was in that town that he shot up, he's either now dead or a coward. So that gets him all riled up. Anyway, a few sentences later, those 2 guys are both dead. And then the ghoul, he hasn't shot the president guy yet. Don't know if he's going to, but he might let him survive. He notices there's a wanted And that's when he learned what Moldava looks like. So I'm guessing Moldava's name isn't Moldava when he met her as Howard in the original thing. But he recognizes her on that sheet, on that bounty wanted sheet. And he asks like who she is, and he gets some information out of her. She is the Flame Mother. The Flame Mother, if we go back to Vault 4, during that section where all the people were doing that ritual, they were worshipping the Flame Mother. So it turns out that the Flame Mother is Moldava. I can't remember. I think there was a flag, so I think Lucy spotted that it was Moldava. She recognised the picture. So now we've ended the episode, and our main character, secondary main character in the future, and our secondary main character in the past, they're all on track to meeting Moldava. It's going to be interesting the next episode because somehow Lucy and Maximus need to get out of Vault 4. I doubt that they're going to be let out. I don't think they're going to chuck them out. Maybe they'll just throw them out for misbehaviour if they're lucky. I suspect they're going to have to escape somehow. And then the ghoul now knows that Moldava is this person he's met in the past, so I'm guessing he's then going to be after her in the future. But I guess the first time we meet her will be, I think that the first thing of episode 7 might be Howard in the past, meeting past Moldava and seeing what her deal is, seeing what her gripe is with Vault-Tec. I guess we're going to find out how she survives, because she wasn't a ghoul, was she, in the first episode when they raided? So how has she survived 200 years, 250 years outside of a vault? Or, well, okay, no, maybe she went into a vault and came out 50 years ago or something.
Yeah, she could have been frozen.
Yeah, could have been cryogenically frozen.
I think at some point they would have to put into... So this will be episode 7, the next episode. And there's 8 episodes, so they will need to have something in terms of Vault 31 and what's going on in there as well, because
yes,
there is no more water. There was like 2 months worth of water left, something like that. They were running out of supplies, so they would need to discuss that somehow, and I don't suspect they'll do that.
So I know we're not talking about that episode, but as I was listening back to the podcast, I was thinking again about it. When they go to repopulate Vault 32, don't they have water in that vault? Like, where's the water for Vault 32 coming from? If Vault 32 has water, can't they just ration the water between 32 and 33 or something like that? A bit like they can't take the water chip from 32 because 32 needs it, but there's no need for 33 to run out of water in 2 months' time when they could get water from 32 and then just, like I say, like ration it out. But that's just me listening to episode 3, having seen episode 5 and thinking about it more and more. So
maybe that's what they've done, but they're not really going to address it. It just like assumes like, yeah, okay, because they just said we're going to...
Yeah, because we went an entire episode talking about 33 and 32 or whatever, and the water issue didn't come up at all, not once. But yeah, they need to conclude whatever happens with the water, even if it's just
a one line.
It could just be one line of like how we're going to transport the water from one vault to the other, or a pipeline, or something like that. But it seems to be that they don't need to send someone out Fallout 1 style to get a new water chip. Maybe they can use the old one to work out how to fix the old one, a fixed one to work out how to fix the broken one, something like that, potentially.
Or like you say, just take supplies of water.
Or this mysterious 31 that had those resources to fix Vault 32, possible. Maybe they have another water chip.
But yeah, we need to find out as well what they've been up to as well, I suppose, because they're up to no good. But yeah, okay, yeah. We'll find out in the next episode, hopefully.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We will be back with another episode looking at the Fallout TV series. Yeah, so there's one more thing I just want to talk about, and it's not really about the episode, but it kind of is. When I saw the thumbnail for the episode, honestly thought, like this was back when we were talking about episode 2 or 3, I just spotted it in the list. I thought that I didn't recognize it as Howard. I thought it was your War Never Changes.
Really?
That guy. And I was thinking, oh, Yeah, I was like, oh, so they're going to bring in The War Never Changes into episode 5 somehow. And I was happy for you. I was intrigued to know how they were going to do it, how they were going to bring it in so late into the season, but not like the final episode, because that's the other place. Like, they could end the series with War Never Changes, and that would make sense. But episode 5 of 8, that doesn't really make any sense. But clearly, I was wrong. I didn't recognise Howard, and we have yet to have War Never Changes.
I don't think we will. Maybe season 2.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly.
Well, they could be fitting as well, like the start of season 2, War Never Changes. Who knows? Maybe if
Depends what the story of season 2 is. I'm not sure they were planning on having a season 2, but it sounds like the show's doing really well, and they are going to be having a second season. I've seen some figures of Fallout games on Steam, and it's gone up massively. Like even Fallout 3 and Shelter have got a bump on them. New Vegas is like triple the amount of players. 76 and Fallout 4 are like massive. Like they've gone from like 10 million players to 50 million players or something, that kind of since the April the 11th. So the other rumor is that Fallout 5 might be pushed forward to come out sooner than they were planning. Because I think at the moment Fallout 5 is looking at 2030 or later, because Elder Scrolls 6 is going to come out before then. But now the rumors, not rumors, but now the talk online is that Obsidian, who did New Vegas, might get tasked to create Fallout 5 so that they can get it done quicker whilst Bethesda themselves are working on Elder Scrolls 6. Which is good for everyone. If you create more games on a smaller time frame, you get to sell more copies of games and make more money.
Well,
I don't understand why we have to wait 15 years for a game.
It could work because they're both Microsoft companies, owned by Microsoft.
Is Obsidian Microsoft?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah, they are. They got bought out before.
Doesn't surprise me, but
the thing is, they're currently making the Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
So that's going to be coming out probably next year at some point. But yeah, probably because they originally made New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas, and then I would be down with that if they made a new Fallout game. But I have to wait and see. Don't think that will happen though. But who knows? Yeah, like you say, if
it's doing well, then it might push them to bring it forward a couple of years.